The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world. Beijing says it reserves the right to take further actions after the U.S. military shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon which traversed sensitive military sites across North America. China has insisted that the flyover was just an accident involving a civilian aircraft. It also criticized the U.S. for, quote, an obvious overreaction and a serious violation of international practice. The Chinese Foreign Ministry says, quote, China will resolutely uphold the relevant company's legitimate rights and interests and at the same time reserving the right to take further actions in response. China's Ministry of Defense echoed the statement, saying it reserves the right to take necessary measures to deal with similar situations. The U.S. military shot down the high-altitude balloon off the Carolina coast on order from no less than U.S. President Joe Biden.
On Wednesday, when I was briefed on the balloon, I ordered the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible. They decided, without doing damage to anyone on the ground, they decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water outside within the 12-mile limit. They successfully took it down, and I want to compliment our aviators who did it, and we'll have more to report on this a little later. Thank you.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken abruptly canceled the high-stakes trip to China aimed at easing tensions between Washington and China following the discovery of the Chinese balloon. Associated Press reporter Matthew Lee breaks down the details with the full story.
Good afternoon.
My name is Matthew Lee, and I am the diplomatic writer for the Associated Press. I cover the State Department and U.S. foreign policy. This trip that Secretary Blinken had planned to take beginning this weekend had been long anticipated. It was first announced by President Biden and President Xi of China back in November when they met in Bali, Indonesia. It was intended to be an important series of meetings in which the U.S. and the Chinese could attempt to bridge some of the very many differences that the two sides have. The discovery or the detection of this Chinese balloon, whether it was a spy balloon or a weather balloon or whatever, we're not quite sure yet, but the discovery of this balloon over U.S. territory really just kind of destroyed the entire thing. A bit of context here. The Chinese get very angry anytime there is anything close to U.S. or other surveillance over territory that they claim to be their own. They reacted to this with a statement of contrition. They acknowledged that this balloon is theirs. They said that it had strayed off course. It was had limited ability to guide itself, and that westerly winds blew it into or over U.S. airspace, and they essentially apologized. That, however, was not enough to change the administration's mind that this is still a blatant violation of U.S. airspace, of U.S. sovereignty, and of international law, and that it had to be met with some kind of a response. And so the postponement of this trip is the response that we're seeing, and it's not clear at all when it might be rescheduled.
In other news, 9 people are missing after a fishing boat capsized off the southwest coast of South Korea. South Korea's Coast Guard said the fishing boat overturned just before midnight on Saturday. President Yoon Suk-yeol has ordered other naval and civil resources to help in the rescue operations. Last month, 8 people were reported dead after a cargo ship sank between South Korea and Japan. We will be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here in One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Russian President Vladimir Putin warned the United States and its allies that they can't defeat Russia. He made the bold statement in a speech marking 80 years since the Nazi defeat in the Battle of Stalingrad. Let's listen in.
Невероятно, но факт. Нам снова угрожают немецкими танками «Леопард», на борту которых кресты. И вновь собираются воевать с Россией на земле Украины руками последующих Гитлера, руками бандеровцев. Мы свои танки к их границам не посылаем. Но у нас есть руками бандеровцев. Мы свои танки к их границам не посылаем. Но у нас есть чем ответить. И применением бронетехники дело не закончится. Все должны руками бандеровцев. Мы свои танки к их границам не посылаем. Но у нас есть чем ответить. И применением бронетехники дело не закончится. Все должны это понимать. Для тех, кто угрожает нам, видимо, для них непонятна простая истина. Весь наш народ, все мы росли и с молоком матери. Для них непонятна простая истина. Весь наш народ.
Pope Francis describes laws criminalizing members of the LGBTQ community as injustice. The pontiff told reporters that persons with homosexual tendencies are children of God. He added that Catholic teachings say same-sex attraction is not a sin. Homosexual acts are. The Pope made that remark aboard a plane after visiting South Sudan for a peace pilgrimage. There, he presided an open-air mass for liberation hero John Garang, which was attended by 100,000 people. Pope Francis said he expects to continue traveling abroad despite his knee ailment. He wants to go to Mongolia in September, which would be the first ever visit of a pope in the country. Chile's government sought international help due to forest fires that continue to raze thousands of hectares. Interior Minister Carolina Tojas says they have asked Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay for support. This as Chile reports 22 deaths and 40,000 hectares destroyed in the wildfires. The government has also extended an emergency order on Friday as the summer heat wave complicates efforts to control the fires. As of Saturday, the National Forestry Agency reports that 151 of 231 wildfires are under control. However, authorities continue an active battle against 80 of the total wildfires. And on to some Grammy updates. Viola Davis earns the coveted EGOT status after taking home the Grammy Award for Best Audio Book, Narration, and Storytelling Recording. Davis bagged the Grammy for her memoir, Finding Me. While accepting the trophy, an emotional Davis barred that she wrote the book to honor her 6-year-old self's joy, trauma, and everything in between. This means Davis has bagged an award from each of the 4 biggest award shows, namely the Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and Tonys. Meanwhile, Beyonce has already won 2 Grammy at this year's show, bringing her a step closer to becoming the most decorated artist in the show's history. During the Grammys pre-telecast ceremony, Beyonce won for the first time in the Best Dance Electronic Music Record category for Break My Soul. She also won for Best Traditional R&B Performance for Plastic Off the Sofa. So far, with 30 awards, she only needs 2 more to eclipse the record by late conductor George Solti, who has 31 Grammys. The Grammys main show will begin at 9 a.m. Philippine time. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register an account now at signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Coming right up is Agenda at 8 a.m. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.